Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Welcome to another episode of Inside the Firm. I'm here with Lance, awesome Cayko, just a good old middle nickname. No poking fun at this guy right now.
None.
I am Alex Gore. We have a great show for you. We're going to continue from last week about how to start your own architecture firm. We have questions from the audience, and then we're going to say why. We're going to reveal why Lance loves Biden so much. It's awesome.
Yep.
And we're going to go from there.
He's doing a great job.
So, first, all I have is just my simple plea is that if you want to run a smoother architecture firm, which leads to a smoother life and a more enjoyable life, just go check out buildabetterco.com, and see if you are interested in that.
Accurate data is crucial, especially in today's business environment. Outdated and inaccurate data leads to turnarounds, delays, and rising costs. With supply chain and staffing issues, these costs and delays can multiply. That's why a resource like arcat.com is so important. Arcat works with manufacturers to keep their data up to date and accurate, and offers it to you easily and accessible and free. Use Arcat's powerful search engine to find what you need and download it right there on their site without needing to pay anything or even register. So try arcat.com today. That's ARCAT.com. Al Gore, back to you.
Okay, so before we get into the questions, Build a Better Co group was talking about the episode that was last week.
Nice.
And had some insight because every single one of these people either built their firm from scratch or bought a firm to transition over.
Yeah.
And there was some patterns that we talked about, which was cool. But the first insight was it is very hard to save up those 3 months savings before you jump. So the other basic idea is that you have to moonlight, which led into a conversation, which then came full circle about how everyone started their firm or took over their firm, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to moonlight. That makes sense. I think we mentioned it. And what I then got into is that F9 has a moonlighting policy. I don't think it's in their contracts. I think it's in their...
it's in the handbook.
In the handbook that they have to sign and read through. And essentially, we differentiate between, hey, you are doing graphic design for your friend, or you're doing something for your grandma in another state. Totally fine. But if it's a big project, something that we could use, that's not going to be approved. And what should be happening, too, is that should be brought into the firm. And we don't incentivize younger staff to bring things into the firm because they should be working on learning, getting their tests done and being productive. But then the question arises well, what if someone is bringing things into the firm, right? As you know, it's hard to be a salesperson. It's hard to have that skill. There's a lot to it. There's nuance.
People who close are special people.
Yep.
It just is what it is. You have a whole set of characteristics that goes into sales that a lot of people just can never attain. Honestly, you got to be hilarious. You got to be funny.
Yep. Because you got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to joke. You have to be able to really blend into the situation. So let's say someone at a mid-level or high level has that ability and is bringing things up. For us, it's not, hey, we're not giving a fee, a finder's fee to them or anything like that. They're now on our radar and should be on our radar this is someone who can buy into the firm. This is someone who can be a partner. If they have that skill, and this is something I would say into them, hey, this is something that if you want to keep developing it, the sky's the limit. And that's where it led into everyone kind of talked about their story about starting a firm. And what was weird was at least 2, maybe even 3, they left because there was a ceiling. Their leadership wouldn't let them go any higher. Their leadership was either absent, there was a cap on it. And if you think about it, anyone who starts a firm has a diverse range of skill. They're all rock stars. They've all weathered the storm and started a firm and have kept a firm alive and are growing a firm. So what I'm getting at is that if your firm doesn't allow for that growth, if it doesn't allow people to grow into being a principal, being an owner, buying shares, you're going to lose the people that can actually run a firm, because that's what it's showing. All these people, because other people, another person bought, I think one or two was, the recession forced them, but there was at least 2 to 3 of them where it capped by leadership. Dumb idea. We've heard this outside of that group too. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, I think that's a very interesting piece of insight. Just to, okay, if you recognize that person, that person is incredibly valuable in their own unique way that I think most people are not. So I'm like, wow, keep an eye out for that person.
Yep.
Very important.
Yep. Before we do the rest of the questions too, I want to go back on one of them and just reiterate. One of the questions was, should I have a partner? And it's very hard to have a partner.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, if you can, and Lance will probably back up this statement. A lot of people, one of the hardest things is in business, in sports, in anything, in investing, you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Mm-hmm. And you try not to take 2 steps forwards and 2 steps back, but that happens sometimes.
Yeah. Investing,
you hear like, oh, you'll take 2 steps forwards, and if you take 3 steps back, that's a hard rut to get out of. And it happens. It happens in every area of your life.
Absolutely.
With a business partner, it's easy for Lance to take 2 steps forward. All of a sudden, he's going to take 1 step back. Like, let's just say in construction, right? We don't have a project. Oh, now I come and take that next step forward. So instead of your company going 2 steps forward and 1 step back, it's 2 steps forward, now 1 step forward. Now 2 steps forward, 2 steps forward. You know what I mean? Like, that just really helps keeping it progressing.
Yeah. No, I would agree 100%. I think my biggest argument for having a business partner is it's a cheat code for multiplying. And that's actually, I think, so yes, Al's right about the 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But one of the other hardest part is just multiplying. Like how are you able to actually multiply? You have to think of yourself as like the cell, the original cell, right? And I mean like bodily cell.
Yeah.
And then can it split, right, and multiply? And you're already hacking into that if you have a business partner. Like, you've already done the multiplication once, so it's a little bit easier for sole proprietors. Doing that extra multiplication is difficult. Like, God bless you, people who are just running firms all by yourself.
Yep. And then here's the hack: if you're a sole or dual proprietor and you're trying to hire, you need to carve out time. Because you need to carve out time Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where you cannot work on actual work, so you have to give it to someone else. And what I mean by that is, what are you going to do during that time? Well, one, you're going to prepare the work for that person, and you're going to have time to review the work for that person. But then maybe you're working on marketing or sales or something like that, and you really need to say, they are doing this extra work and I'm not doing it.
Yeah. So there's 3 bullet points we need to wrap up and cover the section here. So again, this is like part 2, questions from an anonymous corporate architect that hates his job. Should I quit my title of this episode is, should I quit my job and start my own architecture firm again? So one of the questions here is, what are the proper things to do first? Professional incorporation, liability insurance. I think it's so the proper thing to do first is secure some work. Figure out how you're going to feed yourself. Even if it's, like, check into your company's moonlighting policy. Are you gonna break some rules? Are you gonna bend some rules? It kind of is what it is. I mean, I'm not saying if you're a moth to the flame, then just be careful how close you get to the flame. And I totally understand why people do things. I do. Like, rules. I don't think rules are definitely meant to be broken. I think they're meant to be bent and challenged. I think they're also meant to be just observed and followed. I'm not a huge rule breaker in that way. I like bending them more than anything like that, pushing the limits of it. Then once you secure the work, then liability insurance, professional incorporation, that kind of stuff, in that way, depending on the work that you're doing, right? Next one is, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes. So I think get the work first, and then immediately, like my next step would be to open a bank account. And
I like that.
To open a bank account,
But you would need to you could.
But this will, if you just think, if you can't remember all this, just think, once I get work, I need to put that money somewhere, bank account. Okay, what do I need to do?
Simple. KISS.
Yep. What do you need to do that? Oh, now I need to I need to get my incorporation, right? Then get your liability insurance. Don't get liability insurance until you get the work. Don't open the bank account. I mean, yeah, that's your number one focus is the work, and then the bank account, then the other stuff.
Yeah. And the reason for separating the bank account is, you can kind of figure this out organically. Like you have a grace period. I want to just reassure everybody of that. You don't have to get it perfectly right all the way from the beginning. It's okay to just kind of do it on the fly. And as long as you're doing the basics by getting the work, carving out the time to do the work, and making money and putting it in a separate bank account, the legalese of everything can technically happen afterwards. Like, you have a grace period.
Yep.
You have a grace period. And like, do you need the kind of professional liability that's going to cost you $20K a year? Maybe not. Maybe if you're just doing houses, your liability shifts much differently. Because like, maybe you're not actually stamping drawings,
Yep. Once you get the bank account, right? And once you get a project, I'm going to do an easy number, $10,000, right? And obviously there'll be a deposit, and then you'll bill as you go. So you put that in the bank account. Once it's literally around that 10,000 number, maybe not a 2,000 number, not a 3,000 number, is decide how much you're going to pay yourself a month. So even if this project only takes you 2 to 3 months, I would decide that I'm going to pay myself $1,000 a month for 10 months. I would immediately go set up with ADP to pay myself through tax roll. And now I'm set up fully as a person that all the taxes are getting pulled out. It's looking as real personal income. It's looking less like self-employed, even though they'll still consider you this. And it helps out for any loans that you need to get. It helps separate the money from the company money to what money you can actually spend, rather than you just willy-nilly pulling it whenever you want. It sets up discipline so that you know that you're getting paid this extra amount. And then it sets up accountability, meaning, holy cow, in 10 months, I better find more work. And I know this is such a low bar, but I need to find a month, because now I have expenses. I have $1,000 a month expense that I need to bring in. So that's going to make it so that you don't just fly by the seat of your pants and be like, oh, it's great to have $1,000 more bucks a month, but if I don't, it doesn't matter, right? Set that up so it's automatically coming out. Now you need to start acting like an owner.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, next bullet point is what physical things do I need to start with? A laptop, rent an office space. I think the biggest. I wish we'd have pulled down the book. One thing you should do is just read the Lean Startup again. Maybe just read the Lean Startup, which is a book, because it's going to give you all the tools. And I bet there's a new version even, probably. There's probably an updated version with all the AI and technology and everything, right? And we started our firm in Al's dining room. I mean, technically, actually, it started in my dining room before Al even got here. And then people might be saying, okay, well, what about if I got to meet with a client? Dude, we have a physical location. We have a very beautiful building that you guys see every day, or every Friday, as we're podcasting here. And we don't meet a lot of people here physically. It's mostly Zoom at this point, or going to their sites, or something like that. Everything has evolved to the point where you really don't need the physical space. Now, if you do need to meet with, what we used to do back in the day was we'd go meet at like our favorite kind of architectural coffee shop. And for me, it was always REI in Denver.
Same.
Yeah, and which is right down, I don't even know the street.
Doesn't matter.
Wine Coop?
Sure.
Something like that. It's right by the river. But like the REI building is I'm going to describe it to you guys, and then I bet you'll think of one in your town. It's an old warehouse from the 1920s or something, where they were making stuff, and then it got refurbished and regentrified into an REI where you buy Shishi wool socks for $70 a pair.
And there's a Starbucks in there.
And there's a Starbucks, yep. And everybody loves it. And it feels very architect-y. Go meet the people there. It's all good, yep. And if they go, that's what you do. You don't even talk about your home office. It just is what it is.
The other thing, too, I used to do, and I used to spin it as a positive, was, you know what? As an architect, I really want to see the site. Can we meet on site?
Yeah. Huge. They love that. The space, whatever.
Yep. But I would say you probably need a laptop. That's really the only thing you need, because obviously you can bend and break the rules. But if you're doing work on a company laptop, and if things get hairy, you're probably putting yourself in a little bit of a pickle.
Yep. Okay, what friends should I make? Lawyers, contractors, therapists, bodyguards? I love this. I love the jokes in here for sure. You're gonna make a great salesman. There you go. Like you're already. Hey, you got a head start making the jokes. I thought the friends I would make is contractors are a pretty obvious one. Be careful though, because I'm back to saying once again, there's only to my clients. There's only one contractor I'll recommend in the whole state of Colorado. Two, actually, now.
Yeah,
There's only two contractors I'll recommend in the whole state of Colorado besides myself. And then I give them the names, and that's it. Actually, there's probably three now that I think about it.
Okay, I want to know the third
Boulder
one.
County Commercial, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes, I
Yeah,
do.
Very good contract. Actually, four. The one that's building Kenwood. So 4. But still, what I'm getting at is you got to align yourself with contractors that are just not sloppy. Have their stuff together. Pay attention to the details. They're prompt. They're as white collar as they could possibly be. That's actually very important from a general contracting standpoint. Like, I need you to be able to text, email, pick up the phone, read drawings, do things like a professional. You know, you can't just be this sort of blue collar drywaller who then decided to become a general contractor. Like, you know, I'm saying that with all due respect. Those contractors will give you the best referrals for sure. You want to get on their short list.
Yeah.
And if there's a number one friend I would point to, I would say that's probably where the most work is going to come back and forth.
I agree, because people still have in their head, I'm going to build something, I'm going to go to a contractor. Totally fine.
But you be careful. I'm telling you, I would say half the contractors suck. You got to really understand.
Yes.
Yep.
Developers are the next, but contractors are going to be easier. That's where you should start. You really, really start with contractors.
Yeah, and here's another thing I would say is once you figure out how much you're going to charge for things, if you can help contractors, because one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to get asked by owners. Because the contractors have been asking me this lately. They're like, well, what should I tell them you're going to charge? And I go, don't tell them a number, tell them a percentage, because that's where we're at with sort of things. And then I'll give them a formula. So you have to figure out a formula of okay, we're going to be in between X and X probably percentage wise.
Yep.
As it relates to the construction budget.
Yep.
And then that way they don't pigeonhole you, but they also prime, you're sort of already doing the sale. You're priming that owner to just be ready for those kind of numbers.
Yep. And then last, find another architect business leader or group, because this was a conversation with someone.
This is a good close number 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Because this person had a business partner, and they said, Al, what should I do in this situation? And I said, oh, well, if that was me, I would do this. And he goes, wow, that was a lot more calm and more rational than I was thinking. And here's what it means is that when you have issues as a business owner, you can think of 10 to 20 solutions. And all of them might have their pluses and minuses. Then you ask your friend who's that, or you ask the group that you're in, and they will narrow it down to 1 or 2, and then you can adapt. And you can literally just leapfrog and jump I just narrowed it from 10 to 20 things to 1 or 2, and I might slightly make that a little bit different. Your feedback loop accelerates so much then.
Mm-hmm. What do we got next?
Lance loves Biden. Let's see why. Oh, I skipped one. We'll come back to that. I already introduced Lance Love Biden's. The Triumphant USA is now producing more oil and gas than any nation ever has. Would you like to take a moment to
Thanks, Biden. I'm like, seriously, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome, dude.
Yep.
I have even decided I'm not buying a Cybertruck. I'm buying a giant Suburban, another one. So thanks a lot, Biden. This is going to take a lot of gas.
It's going to take a lot of gas. I'm all for the solar panels and wind and all that as well. But we need to keep things going. Okay. I think last but not least, here we go.
What do we got? Oh, little Federal Reserve
Yep.
interest rate update.
They hold steady, but they maintain a forecast of 3 rate cuts in 2024.
Yes!
I think
It's coming. All because of me. Thank you. Is it Jerome Powell? Who is it?
Yes.
Janet?
No, it's Jerome.
Jerome.
Why is it because of you?
I've been saying it.
Oh.
Give me Lance rate cut Cayko. Give me a cut.
Yep.
Hey, we just need, dude, not even a lot. You guys can give us an eighth.
Just the word cut
yes,
is all you want.
And you could, a 16th of a point 3 times. Good. That's all we need. I swear this is all we need. And it's just gonna ignite a freaking. Thank you, Federal Reserve, for threading the needle. Oh my God! Like they're gonna do it now.
Well, we don't know yet because
Okay.
they might wait till something breaks.
Oh,
They might wait till something breaks. But basically, inflation gauge closely tracked by the Federal Reserve shows price pressures easing gradually. So we'll see. I think people are thinking like June, something like that, which will have a big effect on not only people maybe wanting to buy or even start constructing a new house. Here's the other thing, too. I was talking to a developer the other day. We went over to eat where we take people who come here.
yeah.
And he said what another developer said to me probably 6 to 8 months ago with the interest rate so high, nothing pencils out for multifamily. For multifamily. So that could open multifamily. That could encourage more people to do the ADU movement, which is sweeping across, and then even build something new. So that is it.
Awesome. What a positive way to end it. I'm optimistic. I'm super optimistic. You should be optimistic. You should think about if you're listening, you should think about quitting your job and starting your own architecture firm again. So if you like this episode, you're watching on YouTube, leave us a positive comment, subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes, 5-star review. We'll see you next week.